Welcome to Telangana Today. Let's take a look at what's happening in the West African country, Niger. A small West African country, Niger, with a population of 2.5 crore, is engaging the attention of world powers, and if the current developments are any indication, the crisis in Niger can easily overshadow the ongoing Russia-Ukraine conflict. The reason: many of the powerful countries are directly or indirectly involved in the evolving situation in Niger. Before we delve into the details of the Niger crisis, you should know a little background about Niger. The West African country witnessed a bloodless military coup on July 26th, with the military led by General Abdurrahmane Chiani ousting President Mohamed Bazoum and took control of the landlocked country. Niger, a vast desert state on Sahara's edge, has faced coups and instability since gaining independence from France in 1960. Mohamed Bazoum became the president in 2012 in the first peaceful transfer of power since Niger independence from France. Despite the freedom from France, the French colonial rule established political systems designed to extract valuable resources that were in place. The military junta now opposes this and wants to rid itself of any influence from France. This is not the first military coup in West Africa. We have seen military takeover of governments in the neighboring countries of Burkina Faso, Guinea, Mali, and Chad, which are all former French colonies. Coming back to Niger, as anticipated, the military coup triggered a widespread international condemnation. But the coup leaders, who call themselves the National Council for the Safeguard of Homeland, cite the deteriorating security situation in the country as a rationale behind the removal of Bazoum from power. We can no longer continue with the same strategies proposed thus far, as we risk observing the gradual and inevitable downfall of our nation, says General Chiani. However, Bazoum, who was elected in 2021, remained defiant, calling for international backing and rejecting the idea of stepping down. Now, what was the international response to the Niger coup? The United States and France have threatened to sever ties with Niger. Not just the US and France. The regional player, the ECOWAS, or the Economic Community of West African States, comprising 15 West African countries, has imposed sanctions on Niger and threatened to use force against the Niger coup leaders and reinstate Bazoum. The ECOWAS threat was dismissed by General Chiani as an interference in internal affairs of our territory. He also called the sanctions as inhuman and illegitimate. The ECOWAS has set a deadline of August 5 for the reinstatement of Mohamed Bazoum, but the military junta did not pay heed to the warning. Mercifully, there was no military intervention so far, but it remains to be seen what is in store now. Interestingly, the deposed President Bazoum wrote an article in the Washington Post imploring the US government and global community to reinstate constitutional order in Niger. Obviously, Niger, because of its strategic location in West Africa and the mineral wealth, has become a pawn in the power struggle between the superpowers. If the US and France have their own interest in Niger, can Russia be far behind? Despite not showing any outwardly support so far, Russia appeared to be supporting the military junta in Niger. The Russian flags at the coup supporter gatherings raised suspicions. The Russian Wagner Group's presence in the region is also noteworthy. And neighboring countries like Burkina Faso and Mali came out in support of Niger military junta. Significantly, during a Russia-Africa summit in St. Petersburg, leaders from Burkina Faso and Mali declared their support for President Vladimir Putin and the invasion of Ukraine. The Niger coup unveils a strategic significance, highlighting the complex dynamics in the Sahel region, where coups are on the rise and global powers like the US and France on one side and Russia on the other competing for influence. Here is a detour. What is Sahel region? Sahel region comprises portions of 10 African countries: Senegal, Mauritania, Mali, Burkina Faso, Algeria, Nigeria, Chad, Sudan, and Eritrea. Now let's get back to Niger and its importance for the big powers. Niger is surrounded by Algeria, Libya, Chad, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, and Benin and Mali. The coup in Niamey, the capital of Niger, has brought attention to the Niger's rich resource capacity, particularly its critical role in fulfilling Europe's energy needs, especially for France. Niger stands as the seventh largest producer of uranium globally, a resource that France has heavily relied upon for decades. Niger has long been a major producer of uranium, ranked in the global seventh place in 2021 with an output of 2,248 tons. But after a year-over-year decline in the past decade, the decline in uranium production and the resultant decline in the revenues, Niger is now heavily banking on its oil reserves to boost the national budget, much of which is devoted to the fight against the jihadists in the southeast and the west. And here comes another twist. China, another superpower, has not so far directly evinced any interest in the happenings in Niger, but it has too much at stake in the shape of Niger-Benin pipeline, the longest pipeline in Africa, being built at a cost of $6 billion by the West African oil pipeline company called WAPCO. WAPCO is a subsidiary of the China National Petroleum Corporation, CNPC. With a projected length of over nearly 2,000 kilometers, including 1,250 kilometers of pipeline in Niger itself, this will connect oil wells in the eastern region of Agadem, a zone troubled by deadly jihadist incursions, with the Beninese port of Semi. This project is seen as an economic lifeline for Niger. If things stand like this, the latest development is that a high-ranking US diplomat, Victoria Nuland, the acting deputy secretary of the state, met the recent coup leaders in Niger in a bid to restore democratic governance. Victoria Nuland later went on record saying that she had a candid and challenging discussions with the military leader Moussa Salao Barmo and three of his colonels in Niamey. This is the first visit of a US official or a US diplomat after the Niger coup on July 26th. Interestingly, the military junta declined the US official's request to meet the ousted President Bazoum and the military head General Chiani. Nuland reiterated the US commitment to pursue a negotiated resolution to the conflict, provided the coup leaders were willing to restore Niger's constitutional order. Immediately after the meeting with Nuland, the Niger military rules have declared Niger airspace as a no-fly zone. Perhaps they anticipated airstrikes, but declaration of a no-fly zone over Niger indicates that all is not well. With Russia, China, US and France being interested in Niger developments, another angle to the evolving Niger crisis is Boko Haram. Boko Haram, the most dreaded terror outfit that operates in the northeast Nigeria, which shares borders with Niger and active in Chad and also in Niger, Cameroon and Mali, could be setting its eyes on Niger too. This is a worrisome development because in addition to the regional conflicts, if terrorist module like the Boko Haram or the ISIS step, it could well be a biggest crisis the world will be seeing in shortly. Thank you for watching Telangana Today. Stay tuned to Telangana Today for more analytical videos. Thank you.